Hey everyone, it's Job. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing something a little bit different. We are trying out different planner systems I've never tried before. This is all thanks to JetPens. They so kindly sent these items for this video. Obviously, these are still my own thoughts and opinions on these products, but these were gifted from JetPens. So thank you, JetPens, and let's get started. So as you can see, we have two products in front of me. The first one is the Hobonichi HON or HON, and the second is a Roterfaden Taschen Big Lighter. I hope I got the pronunciation right. And these are two systems I wanted to showcase in this video because they are systems that I've been curious about and something that I've never used before. So the Han, I'm going to call it the Han because there was this Chinese restaurant that I loved in Richmond, BC called Han's, and it closed, but it was like a childhood restaurant I would go to, and that's how it was pronounced. So I'm going to go with that pronunciation just because it sounds more nostalgic to me. But the Han is Hobonichi's newest notebook. It is a hardcover version of their A6 Techo original, and there's also an A5 version, which is more closely related to the Hobonichi cousin, which is their A5 size. And the nice thing about this is that it's hardcover, but the guts of the inside are the beloved Hobonichi Techo. But this year they introduced the Techo original, but in English. So I'm really excited because the Hobonichi original color grids are the ones that I like. I don't really like the black English version that came out a few years ago because it looked too monochrome for me. So I'm excited to dive deep into that. And then the second item is the Roterfaden Taschen Big Lighter. I really like saying that. It just rolls off the tongue. And if you have been around in the stationery, like notebook journaling community, you might have seen these back in 2015. That's when I first encountered it. And I thought all of the cool planner girlies had it, and I really wanted one, but it was just out of my price range. It is quite pricey, but this planner system is very similar to planner systems that you've seen before, like the Traveler's Notebook, which uses elastic bands to adhere the notebooks into the notebook. The difference between the Roterfaden Taschen Big Lighter is that it uses metal clips. And Roterfaden means red thread, and Taschen Big Lighter means pocket companion. And I was a little bit confused as to why it's called pocket companion because this isn't pocketable at all. But I think for me, the interpretation of that translation is that it is a companion to your pocket. Like it's something that can supplement your pocket in a way. Like these different pockets can hold the things that your pockets can't. So that's my interpretation of the translation. Let me know if I got it wrong. It might just also mean like bag companion. I don't know. As you can see, I was also sent over two of their Roterfaden proprietary notebook inserts. And then I wanted to show you what it looks like with one of my A5 notebooks. This is Abby C's The Diarist notebook, which is a dot grid notebook. But as you can see, the Roterfaden has these lovely metal clips. They're actually clips made in Bavaria. I don't know why I was thinking Genovia, but that's from the Princess Diaries. It's made in Bavaria. And then the inside is actually merino wool felt. And then the outside is veg tan leather. And apparently it's 1.5 millimeters thick. And it is manufactured and veg tanned in South Germany. The cool thing about this is that there's an elastic in the center, and that's where you have the stitching to keep the metal clips in, but you can actually take the metal clips out. And then in the inside, you have a top loading pocket on the backside, and then you have three top loading pockets. The top two are kind of business card size, and the other one is like smaller than A6, kinda A6 if you think about it, because it's half of the A5 size cover. As you can see, this is me trying to compare it with the size of the Han, which is A6 size. And I really do like the felt, but I feel like it doesn't feel as premium, even though it is merino wool. And I also didn't know, I was reading the website, merino wool is apparently anti-lint. So and supposedly self-cleaning like silk. Those are things I did not know about those materials, but I do like the texture of it. As someone who has like a very, I don't know, I'm very like sensory like that. Like a lot of people know, like when I'm at home, like I'm always like either rubbing like, I don't know, my table or like a soft texture. I don't know. Maybe it's just like a tactile thing. I don't know. But yeah, that's something that I really like about this notebook. Maybe that's just a Job feature, I guess. And yeah, I have a few things in the pockets just to show you what it looks like. I also wanted to say that the designer of this actually designed the Roterfaden Taschenbegleiter back in 2006 because it was part of their design thesis, and their goal was to create a unique planner or notebook system that didn't require you to punch holes. So I guess this was a response to like the popularity of like ring binders at the time. This person, or the creator of the Roterfaden, wanted to, I guess, innovate that area of design, and so they created this notebook. And then in 2007, they shortly opened a online shop, and it was, history after that. It took off. So I think that's super cool. Obviously, this is a German brand, and so if you look at all the inserts, they're mostly in German, but there's still English translation. And I just think that the red accents, again, Roterfaden translates to red thread. I think it's super cool because I'm really in my red era. I really want to focus on like primary colors this year, so I'm really excited about the red accents on this notebook. And if you are like an OG like stationery fan, you would know that this colorway was the colorway. It was the dark brown with the red accents and the gray wool. The leather that I got is actually surprisingly a little bit lighter in color, which is kind of nice. It's almost like a caramelly brown compared to like a chocolatey brown, but I would imagine that it would turn into a more chocolatey color later on. And then, just to report back, I created a test spread with the monthly insert, and I would say that it is a great, standard planner. No complaints here. I did just use Uni Jetstream and brush pens, and so I did not have any trouble with any bleed through and ghosting, but it is too early to tell. I'm just going to give you spoilers in a little bit of this. In a little bit, you'll watch me flip through another test spread, and there is bleed through galore with fountain pen ink, which is really sad. I really wanted to like this paper because it was soft, but it did not hold up to fountain pen ink. And then this is the weekly like layout, and as you can see, this is the test spread. I really went with a style that is similar to how I normally journal. So there's stickers, fountain pen ink, and washi tape, and for the most part it looks great. Like I think it turned out fine, but as you can see on the back side, there is some bleed through, and I was using an extra fine pen. I was using a Lamy Studio, which is another product that Jet Pen sent over. As you can see here, a little tangent, the Lamy Studio is actually like the Lamy Safari's older sibling. It is an all metal construction, but it has the same nib as the Lamy Safari. I used to love Lamy Safaris. I still use them here and there, but I just found that their nibs were inconsistent. And so when Jet Pen said that they wanted to send me an extra fine, I was like, oh, an extra fine, because I usually like medium, and I've had really not great extra fine nibs from Lamy before, but this one is actually really smooth, and I think it might be because of the ink that I'm using with it, which is the HON Inks Laing ink, which is a Filipino ink brand, which is super cool. I just realized the mic wasn't on. I apologize if the sound quality sucked. But yeah, this is the Lamy Studio. Liking it. Matches the Hobonichi HON, which we'll talk about later, but as I was saying, even with the extra fine, it bled through. What the heck? So I guess the paper is kind of fountain pen friendly. Like it's fine here, but I was using HON inks. It's a Filipino ink brand, and this is called laing, which is a Filipino vegetable dish which uses taro leaves. That's why it's this like lovely green shade. But yeah, I didn't do anything particularly intense in terms of like what I was writing with that ink. It was just regular, writing and handwriting. There wasn't any big swatches of it, but yeah, you can see it bleeding through here. And there's some bleed through with the red brush marker, but overall it's mostly just ghosting. So it's not the biggest deal breaker. It is better than, some papers, but it really diminishes the look of the ink. So it doesn't show any of the shading properties or sheening properties of the ink. So I did an ink test somewhere here, if I can find it. Oh, no, I did the ink test here in the monthly. So you can see I used some inks, some markers, some pencils, and they all look okay, but I'm just going to tell you right now, Sailor Yurameku Amamoyoi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that should have a lot of shading properties. You should be seeing some greens and blues and even some purples, but we don't see it here. And shout out to people who remember my haul for Ablation Portland Rain. This is pretty shady as well. It shades. It's not a shady ink, but this is also known as the wet ass ink. If you watch that haul, good times, good memories. And yeah, pencil worked really great on this. I remember when I was writing on pencil, I was like, wow, this is very smooth. And then my favorite pen, standard pen, Uni Jetstream, works well on this paper as well. So I would say that the paper is like maybe like a 2.5 out of 5 stars, just because it's just all right. It's just an average like paper almost. It almost just feels like copy paper that's a little bit upgraded, because if you find joy in shading and sheening inks, this will not deliver that. But I think for like day-to-day stuff, like it should be fine. But yeah, let's look at how we can insert these into the actual notebook. So the fun thing about this is that you can actually pull these out depending on how thick your notebook is. So this one's a pretty thin notebook, so I can just push it back in, like close it and then push it in. I don't know if that's how you're meant to do it, but this is how you get like a snug fit. And then that's in there. Kind of like a TN. So there's that. And then you can kind of move these over too. And this one's thicker. And this is actually, the binding of this is really nice actually. And they use the red color to match, their branding, Roterfaden. And this one's a little bit thicker, so you can see like maybe pulling it out might be better a little bit. So that's fine too. And then this is the real test, because I realized that these notebooks are a little bit smaller than true A5. But this is a true A5 notebook. This is the Diarist by my friend Abby C. This is my media journal. There's a whole feature about this on my Techo Kaigi video if you want to know more details about it. But yeah, I wanted to see if it fits in here. And it does, but this one you really need to pull out the clips a little bit more and then push in so you can get a nice fit. And this is definitely testing the limits of this thing, because look at how thick it is. It closes, but you can tell that the overhang is intense. Like if you're looking at it straight forward like this, it looks fine, but the moment you move it to the side, you can see that it overhangs a tad, just because it's so so packed with notebooks. So alternatively, I'll just show you, well, let's do one more 360. Alternatively, you can just remove all of these guys, which I think I will do because I think I'm going to keep this as my media journal. I think we're going to put this in the center band. So close the other three and then, the other four clips. And I realize you can actually like kind of push them down a bit, like so. And then we can put this in the center. And again, pulling them out seems to be the best way, and then pushing them back in, just for me. And then this is just with one true A5 size notebook insert, which is a little bit thicker, because the ones that they sell are quite thin. So yeah, this actually works well with that, and I think that's how I'm going to use it. Basically, it essentially just became a regular notebook cover. But in the future, I mean, maybe if I want to keep this on me, which is always handy. I love having a monthly calendar handy just to check dates, even though I might not always like plan in it. It's nice to just have it handy. So yeah, even that feels all right. I think having a thin notebook insert and one thick notebook insert is fine, but again, this is too thick altogether if you put all three. But yeah, I think overall, I think this is a fun system, but I would say writing in this with, the clips is all right, but it's just hard to do sometimes. Like this notebook lays flat usually, but with the clips and everything, it just gets really hard. Like especially, this is where I connected it. If I flip to the next page, it just doesn't feel like it's lying flat and open very well. Like it just feels like there's something there. So like, especially when you get to this part, closer to the spine. So the clips are, as low profile as they can be while being able to do their job, but they still do get in the way. Obviously, they're easy enough to take on and off, so that's probably what I'm going to do when I get to certain parts of this notebook. But overall, I really like the aesthetic of it, and I like the whole, I don't know, I do like the look of it. I don't think this is a replacement for my A5 plotter at all, because I don't really like the paper. Obviously, you can get different smaller A5 size thinner notebooks in nicer paper. But I think in terms of planning, I'm going to stick to my regular planner just because of the paper and the inserts that I have with me. But again, this is still a really good system if you find the notebook inserts that you like that fit in here. So I can see people, possibly putting a Hobonichi Hobonichi Cousin in here, or a Hobonichi Avec. I think Cousin Avec would be perfect in here because it wouldn't be too thick. So yeah, I think maybe if you have a Cousin Avec, this would be a better fit, unlike these notebooks. But yeah, I think I'm going to use this more for a creative journaling type of system where I keep my media journal in here and accessories and maybe one calendar like this just for reference. But yeah, overall, I really do enjoy the system. I just am not a fan of the Roterfaden proprietary monthly and weekly inserts. So again, if you want to find your own inserts, I would recommend that instead. Let's talk about the Hobonichi HON. So this is the Hobonichi HON. This is the English edition, and the guts of this notebook is really cool because this is similar to the Hobonichi Techo original. So it has, the colorful tabs and lines, and it changes from month to month. But it's all in English, so some of you might have seen past iterations of the A6 English version, which is a little bit more minimalist. It's like just black and I think a little bit of red accents. But I like this. I know some people don't like the quotes, but I really like the quotes. I like the whole philosophy of it being a life book. And yeah, I like how this is more similar to the original Techo. So basically, you have the months in a vertical format. Then it goes into the monthly calendars all the way until I think you get until March 2025. Then you get into the daily pages, and they go all the way until the 31st. And then you have some notes pages, and then the extra pages in the back. It's actually really cool because it's English, and I've never actually successfully completed any Hobonichi, Techo, or Cousin ever, so the A5 or A6. So we'll see how this goes this year. But you have a timetable, graph paper. This is kind of like the Mime 100, or sorry, the favorites. So you can choose what aspect it is or theme it is. You know, write a little blurb, the date, and then give your rating. There's interview with myself, so this is a nice reflection thing for yourself. There's a vision check in here too, which is different. Kind of cool actually. Words to remember, so maybe if you're doing language learning, this might be fun to fill out. This is a 365-day check-off sheet, which is fun because you can, just color in the shape with your pen. If you're using fountain pens, you can see all the different pens you're using from different days of the week, and then by the end of the year, you'll have this all colored in, which is cool. A little reflection to do at the end of the year. And I think, is that it? Oh, gifts that you received or are giving, personal information on both sides, and that's it. But yeah, this is my first time using it. I think initial thoughts, the Sanzen paper, I know the Tomoe River Paper S or the Sanzen Tomoe River Paper. Did I say river 2 times? Tomoe River Paper. Tomoe River Paper S has been giving people a little bit of grief. Apparently there's more ghosting and bleed through, and then with people painting in this, it buckles a little bit more and has a harder time with larger washes of water. I have been, okay so far. Like, this is the same paper that this is the same ink that I used in the Roterfaden earlier with the Lamy Studio and the On Inks Lying ink, and there's no bleed through, just ghosting, which is the same. I would say a similar amount of ghosting that I would get with regular Tomoe River paper, not the S kind, but I've seen so many not horror stories, like not great reviews about the new paper, so that's a little disappointing. But yeah, I think overall I've been enjoying this. I do really like the A6 size. Like, I think I completed this spread really quickly, and usually when I journal, it takes a really long time sometimes because I usually use larger formats like A5. And so having an A6 size notebook is actually quite fun in terms of day-to-day journaling. But in terms of planning, you have 5 to-dos here, which is actually pretty generous because apparently 3 major to-dos is all that we can usually complete in a workday apparently. So it's nice that there's, extra room if you have more time or, your tasks aren't as significant. And there's a daily schedule here starting as early as, 6, 7, 8, 9, or is this 6, 7, 8. Oh, so it's every hour. So it starts at 4 a.m. and ends at, also 4. So you get the full 24 hours here if you really wanted to, which is cool. And then there's a line that separates that. And then you can do your planning over here, which is super convenient. I like how, I think you get quite a bit of space for planning. I think for me, if I were to switch over and just do one system for planning, I think the Hobonichi A6 Techo, so this size, if the HON or the original Techo in English had a weekly schedule, it'd be the perfect planner. Honestly, they already have that in the A5, and you can buy a weekly supplemental notebook to go with your A6 Hobonichi, but yeah, I think this is a really strong contender because you get a lot of planning space and then you get monthlies. So yeah, I am excited to try this out, but initial thoughts, I really do like it, and I am excited to see how I use this more in a creative journaling way, but again, very strong contender in terms of a great planner. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed seeing these different planners. Oh yeah, last thing. I think that the Hobonichi HON cover, I don't know if it's the bow and tie. I need to see more of these in person, but the cover seems really flimsy. Like, for quite a thick book. So like the Hobonichi Weeks apparently has the same cover as the HON, and on that it feels okay because the Weeks is thinner, but on the HON I just wish it was slightly thicker. Like if you ever handled a Moleskin or a Loister 1917, I really like the cover on that. It feels really solid, but this feels really like almost just like cardstock. Like this, I think, yeah, that's where I would reduce points actually, because the inside of this is wonderful, but honestly, this just feels like a regular Hobonichi Techo, like without, not being a HON. I feel like the cover is just slightly thicker than the cover that they use on their non-HON notebooks, but maybe this is just the bow and tie one that I have. But yeah, and I also do like the pencil board that it comes with. That it comes with just the clip. The pen loop for the clip. I think that's great. But yeah, points off for the cover. But I think that's my final thoughts. I think I would give this a maybe 3.5. It would have been a 4 if the cover was thicker, but I would give this a 3.5 out of 5, and I would give this, the paper would be 2.5 out of 5, but I think the system as a whole would be, like a 3.5 out of 5 as well, or maybe a 4. Very similar ratings, but I think still really good contenders for a planner system if you're looking into it. Again, this would definitely be a higher rating if you're using a notebook. I'd give it a 4 actually, because overall it's a great system, but the proprietary inserts don't have the greatest paper. And then this one would have been a 4, but it went down to a 3.5 due to the cover. So maybe it's just this one. So I will let you know if I see any other HONs out there and see if they have better covers. Also, I think I pronounced that weirdly. Is it HON or HON? I like to say HON because there's a restaurant in Vancouver called HON's, and that's how they pronounce it. So it just reminds me of that really cool restaurant that I grew up eating at. Okay, anyways, that was a long tangent and outro. I'll see you in the next one, and again, I apologize for the sound quality at the beginning, and also my voice is a little bit off because I have a cough, and I apologize if there's random cuts in this video because it's just me having a little bit of a coughing fit, which sounds like it's gonna start happening soon. So I love you so much. Please take care of yourselves and be sure to check me out on Patreon, where you can find exclusive videos and printables. This is next month's mail, so you can take a look at it if you want to join the mailing tier. I send mail to the mailing tier every month. And yeah, okay, I'm just a little bit delusional. I think I've had too much Buckleys already. I'll see you in the next one. I love you. Bye-bye.